Cool. Well, we'll give this a second to load. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining today's session. We're going to be talking about how to replace your marketing team with a series of AI agents. And while the title maybe is a little bit dramatic, the idea here and the core concept of today is to really understand what those repetitive tasks that you do, or maybe someone on your team does on a reoccurring basis that sneaky take up a lot of time, um, whether that's repurposing one piece of content to different platforms, or uh, monitoring different competitors, or replying to comments on social media, writing product announcements, writing feature releases, all of the things that individually just take a lot of time and are the perfect use cases for um, actually using different AI agents and workflows to build. I'm going to pull up Relay here. I hope everyone has had a chance to use Relay before. It is my personal favorite AI automation tool. And I will share my screen. What's great about Relay is it uses agents that have a unique set of skills and tasks to complete on some type of reoccurring basis. You can make them one-off, but I think the most effective agents are always run on some type of system. You can see personally, I have a personal assistant that helps me with emails and Slack. I have a social media one. I have a lead qualifier. I have a lead magnet one, a marketing and sales one. And so you can kind of think about agents as owning a department. That's what the agent does. And then they have a unique set of skills that go under each of their agent tasks. And so let's start by creating a new agent. And today we're talking about a marketing agent. So we're going to name it marketing head, overseas marketing. Always like to give a little description. And then as you're setting up an agent, you want to give it access to certain things. So depending on what you're needing your agent to do, you're going to give it connections. And this helps just give it a little bit of a direction of what it's going to be working with. Here, we're going to be working with LinkedIn. We'll probably use Slack. We'll connect Google Sheets, Gmail, and then Notion. Notion is where we keep all of our product information and company info for it to have context. And now, the first thing, if you've never created an agent before, that I always like to explain to people is having it, the way you prompt an agent is the same way that you would train a new employee. So you want to tell it to do something on some schedule and give it an example of what good looks like. Let it do its thing, and then give it some feedback. And so you can see it actually comes up with some initial ideas of what might be valuable. I think you can get a little carried away if you're not really clear on what you want it to be doing. And so always having an idea of what you want the agent to do before going into this process is always helpful. So something that I do, and what I takes a lot of time from a marketing standpoint is consistently looking at my competitors and understanding what they're doing, how they're positioning themselves in the market, and little things like have they updated their pricing or something like that. And so let's start with that as our first agent. So you can come in here and just type in exactly what you want it to do. You always want to think of like the what you want it to do, when you want it to do it, and then why. It just helps give some context. So we'll type in here. I use a cool tool called Whisperflow. Allows me to hold down a button and just speak at my computer, and I can speak much faster than I can type. So I'm going to say at the beginning of every month, I want you to look through a structured list of my competitors and analyze their website for how they're positioning themselves in the market and if they've made any changes to their pricing page. Let it work. Boom, typed it out for me. And you can just hit build it for me. Let's see if that will come in there. That's okay. We'll get that back. Oh no. All right, let's see. Let's see, little technical difficulties. We can keep working. There you go. All right. So as we let this run, let's think of some other things that we might need or that we might have a marketing hire do. One is a big one is repurposing content. We do these weekly webinars. We try to keep them very tactical, very instructional. And once this video is done, we upload it to YouTube, but then I need it to become a blog, a news article, or a newsletter. I want to post it on my personal LinkedIn. And so maybe that's the workflow we'll dive into next. But as always, if you have any feedback or have any questions along the way, please drop it in the chat. And if you have a specific workflow that you want to see me build, you can put it in there and I can build it for you guys. So where's the list of your competitors stored? So what it's doing is it's before it goes into building mode, it's asking some follow-up questions, just to get a little bit more detail, like a good employee would do. All right, so we want to build it here. At the end of the analysis, where should the results be delivered? Great question. Well, you just want to send it to Slack. I send a lot of things to Slack to not overcrowd any documentation in Notion where we keep things more permanent. Here I have a marketing channel, so we'll send it in there. So the same way you would write an SOP or give someone a set of instructions on how to follow this task, it will go and do this. Awesome. So you can see it's doing a first pass of building this out. It's even writing our prompts for us, which I find very helpful. A lot of people get caught up with how to write the perfect prompt and things like that. The secret is ask AI to write your prompt for you. Okay, cool. Let's do this. And let's just go ahead. The one thing we need to do manually, or let's walk through the steps first. So the scheduled trigger is the trigger of when this workflow runs. It's going to run on the 1st of every month. It's going to then look at the competitor list. And you can see we'll fill this in with a few pieces of data here, put in the competitor name, their URL, their pricing. Then it's using this step called a loop. And essentially it's taking each one of these table lines and it will loop through each of these. On each of those rows, it will scrape the main website. It will scrape the pricing page. It will do an analysis of their market positioning, their price analysis, and notable changes. And then it will send a post analysis to Slack. The one thing I actually want to change is I want it to send one analysis, not one per competitor. So I'm going to change that really quickly while we pull in some competitor URLs. I want one final report, not multiple reports. So it should be able to make some changes there. Cool. And let's just go, I run a content marketing agency. We do go-to-market content, and StoryArb is one of our competitors. Although, big fan of Alex Lieberman, if anyone knows him. He's got a great LinkedIn presence. But we'll go ahead and go put them in here and say StoryArb, and then put in their website URL. I don't know if they publish their pricing. Oh, they do. Cool. So we got a pricing page. You can just see how I'm filling out this information. And then Compound Content Studio is another one. They publish their pricing. They don't publish their pricing. So we don't have a pricing page for that, but that's okay. If you have a product, that's obviously always going to be available. And so what I'm going to do now is just hit start a test run. And we're going to let it do its thing, and we'll see the output, and then we can just make some adjustments. The same way as if you hired a full-time employee, you would tell them on how to do something, they would go do it, and then you give them some feedback. Awesome. All right, it looks like we're getting some questions about LinkedIn content. I have a community of people that I desire to review LinkedIn for their content support with comments. I've done agent like scraping. Okay, this is a great question. We get a lot of questions about LinkedIn and how it works with their privacy policy. So anything that is performing an action on your behalf is not allowed on LinkedIn. Sending follow requests, leaving a post or leaving a comment. There are scheduling tools that allow you to post content. That's probably the safest. But if you just categorize as two things, is it taking an action on my behalf? That's bad. If it's just reading what's available, that's good, or that's allowed. So we will do a LinkedIn analyzer because it sounds like that is one of the requested workflows. And so what we can do is put in a list of LinkedIn profiles that you want to, let's see, the request was review LinkedIn for their content and support with comments. So we can put in a list of LinkedIn profiles that you want to look at their content. And we can look at the comments there as well and make some suggestions. And then we can come up with some new ideas or something like that. One I use personally is I look at different competitors or content creators that I aspire to be, and I use it to come up with some new LinkedIn ideas as well, which we can do simultaneously. But first, let's look at our output. So we have, it went through StoryArb and it went through Compound, and it went and it scraped the information on their website. The same thing for Compound. And then it created a positioning and pricing report. So Modern Brands B2B content partner, they're a done for you service. Great. They work with B2B companies. Pricing page. Looks like it had a little bit of an error. But then what it does is it now created this consolidated report. Markets moving towards sales-led opaque pricing, clear segmentation emerging between brand content partner and social first demand gen. Here's their positioning, pricing, notable changes. So this now lands in my Slack channel once a month that the entire marketing team can keep a pulse on how our competitors are talking about their services, any changes that have happened, and any trends based off of the things that are changing. So really insightful, something that maybe would have taken, a couple hours each month now is done in a matter of seconds. And we can keep the whole team caught up to date on what the current changes are and current trends just from this one workflow. Come back here, turn it on, don't have to think about it again, and we will get an update every month. All right, let's create a new skill within our marketing team. All right, let's go through LinkedIn. Do you want, Sherry? I am actually going to try something. I'm going to take your I'm going to take your request and just paste it in here specifically. And let's see what it comes up with. Review list of LinkedIn profiles, look at their recent posts, suggest possible comments to engage with within their content. Where's the list of LinkedIn profiles? You can connect it to a Google Sheets, a Relay table, Notion. I'm just going to do a built-in table here. Oh, let's go Google Sheets. There we go. All right, let's do it. And then where would you want the suggested comments to be delivered? Do you want to add them back into Google Sheets, or do you want them in your Slack? You can email them to people. I had a daily email, let's go. And then when do you want this workflow to run? Is it on a schedule, or do you want to manually trigger this? Let's go daily. There we go. Share if you're fast enough. If you send me some LinkedIn profiles, we can build this. We can build this for real. So it's looking up the steps. It's trying to understand what the connection points it needs, what the steps will be. The way that Relay uses and accesses LinkedIn is if you go to Google and you type in Will Leatherman LinkedIn, you will see that my profile actually shows up and it's available to the public. So all of this information is public information, including my LinkedIn posts. And so it's not needing to use a scraper or a cookie session or something like that. So it's not violating terms of service at all. It's just pulling public information. All right, we are going to have to make a new sheet. Okay, this might be too complicated right now. We're going to manually add a constant list. Yes, I'm going to build that into this workflow because understanding content performance and analysis is very important when it comes to LinkedIn, especially so you can keep iterating on ideas quickly. All right, so Sherry, nice job on the list of profiles. I'm just going to select a few of them for demonstration's sake. And of course, you can connect it to Google Sheets. I just didn't have a sheet set up ready for this. So what I'm going to do is say, here are the profiles. But of course, instead of this step 2, which is using a table built into Relay, you could connect it to a Google Sheets and it would function the same way. Here they've added in the name and the profile URL. It's going to look through those. Again, we're using a loop. So it's going to go and run these steps for every profile in that row. And so it's going to go and get the LinkedIn post from the profile URL. It's going to see anything that was posted in the last 7 days. We have maxed it to 5. You can set your max to however many you want. Most people on average barely post once a day. It's very rare that someone's posting multiple times a day. So this usually works. Then we have a simple AI step that says, review the recent LinkedIn post. For each post, suggest 1 to 2 thoughtful, engaging comments I could leave. The comments should be genuine, add value to the conversation, and help build a professional relationship. You obviously could update this to be more personalized to you. And then we're going to email myself. You could email it to, that individual, with the suggestions in the comments here. Perfect. All right, there we go. Let's make that adjustment. For the email, it's going to be a single email with a link to the post. Great. So what we're doing is we're taking that email step and we're moving it outside of the iterator or the looper. And so it's going to consolidate all of that information into one final email and then send it at the end of this workflow. Perfect. Let's start a test workflow. So what it's done is it's loaded the rows of the profiles. It has now gone through each of them. I'm going to say run all of them. It found 2 posts in the last week and then found the post and then suggested comments. Obviously, you would want to tailor this. You'd want to tailor this a little bit to your tone of voice and style. Little trick with commenting. Something I've found in adding to the instructions is letting it know what point of view you're commenting from. So like, I'm a fellow founder giving, friendly advice to someone else building in the space. If you give the AI context as to how you want to approach giving it, right? Are you a coach? Are you a friend? Are you looking up to this person? It will make the comment much more in line with kind of how you comment in general. Awesome. This email went in my inbox, but you can see, we can see the email here. Here is Christopher Tipper's recent LinkedIn post with a link to it. He highlights a podcast episode, suggested comments, option 1, option 2. Here's another post delivered into my email. Awesome. Anas, apologize if that's not the correct pronunciation, but we want an AI agent that can give a monthly analysis of LinkedIn performance. Okay, this is a great one. I want a workflow that gives me a monthly analysis of my LinkedIn content, what has been working, what hasn't, and suggestions for what to post next month to keep building on my performance. There you go. I've had a month of a lot of experimental LinkedIn content this month, so I'm actually really excited to see what this says. I have this workflow actually run on a weekly basis to be a little bit more iterative. But let's take my LinkedIn profile, drop it in there. I want this in a Slack message just to keep things a little bit more reactive. I love an engaged audience. Thank you guys so much. This makes it so much more fun. All right. So essentially what it's doing is on a monthly basis, it's going to scrape my LinkedIn post. It's going to analyze performance and suggest content ideas, and then send me a monthly report to Slack. We're going to send this to the marketing channel. So guys, the same way that you would put in an idea in the chat here for me to build, you can see all I'm doing is I'm taking that, I'm copying it into the Relay Copilot, and then having it, just do its best guess at how to do that on its first run, and then making any suggestions as needed. I've seen a few different requests around GA4. To be honest, I haven't experimented with connecting GA4 to Relay before, but I kind of want to check that out. Can you connect to GA4? I'm just simply going to ask it. Okay, it doesn't look like they have a connection there, but you could potentially work with data. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You might have to export the GA4 data into a Google Sheet and have it read the data from there. But let's check this out. I know, but there is, you can request it. I like the way they do requests too. Essentially, you just have an upvoting system. So if you get enough people upvoting, it will happen. All right, let's take a look. So it found 41 posts. I post a lot. And total reactions, 7,000. Total comments, great. Total engagements. I had 2 breakout posts. What's working for me? A strong POV, contrarian framing. I did a post about how AI isn't replacing writers. It's just going to breed content engineers. System posts, people really love when I break down systems the same way that I talk about how to build things in sequence on these. Comment to receive asset. This is a really strong performance driver right now on LinkedIn. Timing, great. What's not working? Event promos, Charles, some good feedback for us. Repetition with no angle. Content ideas. So what's awesome is now I have 5 to 7 ideas in mixed formats that I can try for next month. Found out content extraction fails, 5 content engineer workflows, input output tools. What's your go-to-motion motion in 2026? Case study, tactical teardown. So now I have no shortage of ideas for more content I can write, and it's based off of what I already know has worked. So these should continue to perform. Something else that I really like to do, I also want to look at a few aspirational profiles and see what worked for them to inspire new ideas for me as well. So we don't copy, but if someone's doing a format or using a hook or talking about a certain trending topic that I also should then talk about, I want to be inspired by that. So Jacob, CEO of Relay, always has banging posts. Gonna put that in there. And then who's another person I really like? Like I said, I really like Alex Lieberman. Really good writer. So we'll put those in. And so it's going to add additional steps to scrape their profiles as well. Understand what worked for them. And then add that to my performance analyzer. The last workflow we're going to do in the last 12 minutes, unless someone has a specific request, is one that I see a lot of people spend an insane amount of time on. Obviously, we talk about content systems a lot. We're very strategic about how we produce a lot of content from the lowest amount of effort. And so every time I upload a YouTube video, I want to create a AEO/SEO optimized blog to post alongside it, as well as a LinkedIn post for my company LinkedIn page. So this one is about content repurposing. So you just spent all this time producing a YouTube video, editing it, And every time it's uploaded, I want to make sure that we're getting a long form blog out of it, as well as a post on LinkedIn to drive traffic either back to my website or my YouTube channel. The blog will be published or saved in, we'll just do it in Notion. You can directly publish to WordPress, which is pretty cool. My YouTube channel is at W Leatherman. I post all of our weekly webinars there if you want to gain access to past courses. And so we'll let this build. Let's see. How should blog post be saved? It's in a database. And select a LinkedIn. Catalyst content is my LinkedIn page. For my company content, we're going to publish directly to LinkedIn because publishing something there will be way better than never posting at all. All right, let's get my Notion database. It's actually called AEO Blogs. You know the name of it. Perfect. Submit. And let's go check on this last workflow. So it's now added steps for scraping Jacob's post and scraping Alex's post. And so we're going to run a test run here. Something I love about Relay as well is if you do a test run, it's not actually using any of your AI credits. So you can test a few times, make sure that your prompts are dialed in, give it a little bit of feedback, and then once you turn it on and it starts running automatically, it's providing value, and then it starts charging you. It's also interesting to see how many times people post. Like Jacob doesn't post that much. Alex posts a lot, 20 times in the last week. All right. So this YouTube repurposing workflow, it is looking every 15 minutes at my channel to see when, to check every time I publish a YouTube video. It goes and finds the YouTube transcript. It then creates an SEO and AEO optimized blog based off of it. It's going to then generate a LinkedIn post, including the video URL. It's going to save the blog to Notion, and then it's going to post it to LinkedIn. Let's run a test though. David, to answer your question, the cost to do this in Relay. Relay has a very similar pricing structure as most AI tools. You pay for AI credits. I have the 25,000 K AI credits. I think I pay $35 for this a month. I think the 50,000 AI credits is like $100 a month. Either way, it is significantly cheaper than hiring someone or hiring and then training someone to do this repetitive tasks. So whatever the credits are, it's definitely cheaper than hiring someone to do it. There is a time and a place for hiring people, but some of these things are not worth it. We hit a limit. This is an error with Notion, just so you guys know. If you're using Notion, it's very sensitive on the length. But the nice thing is in Relay, I can just go debug and it will come up with a solution for me and make the necessary changes. This finished. So now, yes, Sherry, they are 50% off with an annual credit. Nice job. It will have I don't work for Relay either. Actually, I should probably disclose that because I'm talking like I am. Yeah, I'm no way affiliated with Relay. I just think it's a cool product. So now it's showing what's working for me, trends and timing, tone, topic, what's working for me, timely, what's not working for me. And then it's going to go aspirational profile insights. So Relay had a product launch. That's great. AI agents for LinkedIn marketing, very relevant for me. AI personal assistant metrics. He does a lot of proof by numbers. I'll send a prompt guide, concrete, relatable jobs to be done. Alex Lieberman. So as you read this, you can kind of get inspired by some additional ideas of what content, but then it will also create some ideas for next month. Content engineer scorecard. Oh, that's a good idea. Charles, we should make that like a little bingo card. That'd be kind of fun. Nice. And the whole idea here is to make it so when I sit down to produce my own content, I'm not stuck with like, what do I write about this week? That's the worst feeling. And there's way too much information out there to ever feel that. And so I use this as inspiration. And because this runs every week in my marketing channel, I kind of always start there. All right, any questions about analyzing other people's content on LinkedIn, your own content? Meaningful difference between Relay, Make, and N8N? No. I mean, minuscule feature differences. I'm a pretty technical person. I can use N8N. Everything I just built, I think we're on 3 workflows and each taking about 15 minutes. Each one of those would have taken me an hour in N8N. It is unnecessarily technical. And so Relay, I think, is I think it's the most user-friendly. I think you can get to a final version of what you're looking for so much quicker, and it just works. Their Copilot is great compared to N8N and Make, which allow a little bit more flexibility in some use cases, but for 99.9% of them, Relay will absolutely be sufficient. Would you recommend 8N9 workflows like these? Does that mean like you work in N8N and would like to recreate those there? Yeah, I mean, all of these are replicable with N8N. Again, some limitations like N8N doesn't allow native LinkedIn scraping. So you have to then use a third-party tool called Apify, and you're using like API calls and requests. And again, it's doable. It's just, to me, having everything in one place and just automatically already work together is so much more valuable. I don't want to be technical. Just keep it under 800 words. We're just running into a length issue here. Cool. Do you think you get this to find places to post that are not LinkedIn? We are very technical and LinkedIn is fine, but we have case studies and published work that I'm not sure where to post it. Connor, want to give me a little bit more context into what your business does? Like, do you want to post on Reddit? Do you want to post on Twitter? Oh, cool. I like this question. All right, hold on, guys. I'm just gonna delete this step because Notion is giving some problems. We'll still be able to look at the content, but very interesting use case, Connor. if you don't know any publications specifically, I would probably try to understand that first, before jumping into a workflow tool like this. I think when you automate something, you want to automate something that you've done before already manually. It's always going to yield the best results. But if you have a list of those like medical journals or blogs that you know you want to be published on, you could build a workflow that maybe sees what topics they're talking about or discussing in crafting a pitch as to why the work that you're doing could help enrich that, and then send an email on your behalf. That could be kind of a cool workflow. Again, if there's like, maybe the discussion's happening on Reddit, but maybe there's like more medical sophisticated forums, you could have it scrape those and understand where you could interject yourself into conversations there. Okay, so this took the YouTube video and the transcript. It's ironic that this this article is actually about what I'm talking about. And so wrote it into a full blog post. Obviously, the formatting, it's actually written more of an outline or structure. So I'd probably want to add a second step that's taking this outline and actually writing the piece of content. And then it generated a LinkedIn post. What if one webinar could fuel your entire content calendar for a few months? We just released a quick guide showing how to turn a single webinar into 40 pieces of content. Link to the YouTube video, and it posted to LinkedIn for me. Boom. Didn't even have to do anything. Yeah, that sounds like what we do. I have a few, but I don't remember to email them and follow up when they ask questions or want it shorter. Yeah. You could, in theory, have a workflow that's monitoring your email for those responses and then making whatever necessary changes a little bit more open-ended, but you can create a workflow. Like if you use a tagging system in your email, you could say, hey, look at my email for anything tagged with this tag of like research outreach. If they respond and make or ask for suggestions or edits, go in and make those edits in the Word document and then send them a follow-up email. It's a little bit more advanced, but another question is, I want to learn the essence of automations like these, like the science behind it. I think, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, I believe what you mean by the science is like the thought process, or kind of how to think in these sequences. And my best advice here, and I'm trying to think of some resources. There might be some things that I can send to you after. But the way I always approach every workflow is thinking of inputs and outputs. So every single one of these workflows we've built today, and this one and specifically, just as an example, is there is always every step has an input and every step has an output. So we are putting in the input of my LinkedIn profile, and the output is the number of posts. So it's pulling my last 30 days of posts. Let's call it my last 50 posts. We're then passing those 50 posts to the next step. And so if you think of each step in a sequence as just inputs and outputs, it helps you kind of think sequentially as to what needs to be done. And so what I always do at the beginning, yes, the AI Copilot is great and it's getting more advanced. But if you're actually physically building these by adding steps like this, I always think, what am I giving the workflow as a whole at the beginning? And what is my final output? And what does good look like? So we've kind of just let it determine what a, performance analysis looks like. But the proper way to do this would be giving it an example of what good looks like to you. And so it's, what information are we giving it? What's the final output we want to get at the end? And what does good look like of that final output? Then you can start building in the sequence steps. So I'm going to give it a LinkedIn profile. The output of that is going to be all the LinkedIn posts. This step is going to take all those LinkedIn posts and give me an analysis. I would want to give it a example of what good looks like there. And then the final output is that analysis sent to marketing. It's all very linear at this stage. We are officially at time. I'm happy to stay on a little bit longer if anyone has questions. I hope this gives a good idea of how you can build an agent and give it a list of tasks that it then can complete on some type of cadence. Couple things. If you go to Relay and you go to templates, I can just drag this in here. There you go. A lot of great places for you to start. Jump into marketing. It gives you some ideas. This RSS feed aggregator is really good. Looking up viral LinkedIn post creator. There's a lot of great places to start. As always, I run these webinars every week. You can sign up for my course on Maven. It's free. So you can get notified about these each week. And yeah, we have a course coming up about being a content engineer if you're interested in that. But you're always welcome to hit me up on LinkedIn, send me a message. I'll leave my profile up here as everyone drops. Feel free to send me a message. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you, Charles, for dropping that in. That's how you can sign up for future webinars. Thank you, everyone, for joining. All right. Bye, everyone.